Let this be the time you find perfect peace, man. Yeah, at this point in my life where nothing shocks me, if God told me to wait, I'm in the lobby. Cause even if the world against me, I know that I got me. I know that I got me. That's mind, spirit, and body. Protect your heart, for everything flows from it. 10-4, Lord, I copy. See, God is my escape when that levee break. I can't wait to know the code to the heaven gates. I'm trying to give you whole foods, get you off of them debit cakes. No, you ain't gotta run in the devil's race. No, you ain't gotta run at the devil's pace. I'm standing firm, he don't wanna see me face to face. The way I'm living, protected and fully armored. While you're trying to stay afloat, I just learned to swim underwater. Look, appreciate you, but I know the ones who supposed to hear it. The new rap group, call him D and the Holy Spirit. Hope you feel the truth inside every moment I post a lyric. Coast to coast with emotion, here's no smoke and mirrors. I pray you hear wise words of a man, but he who don't follow just built his house on the sand. I'm standing in the light trying to get my spiritual tan. I'm just happy that my dreams align with God's plan. Let this be the time you find perfect peace. I pray that it's the time you find perfect peace. The day I go, you'll say, I kept the message. I praise God, help you seek him through self-reflection. Don't get distracted, it ain't worth it, don't waste a second. If God ain't in it, what you doing? Go change your method. The path is already laid out, uniquely chose for you. Your own flesh is set out against you, it want the most of you. If it don't benefit your potential, it can't get close to you. The mindset to do what's right for you is what you supposed to do. We don't think the same, I know it's levels though. You want a brand new car, but I want self-control. I want to keep my joy, I want my patience too. You want to be happy, but I want peace, you can't compare the two. I learned to say no if it don't work for me. I'm probably somewhere praying if you search for me. Become a better me, I wouldn't hurt to see. Let this be the time you find perfect peace. This may not be for you. This may be for the person that you can be. Let us pray.
Our Father, who art in heaven, I come to you as your humble servant, asking you to allow the Holy Spirit to guide my every word, so that I may approach your throne in the appropriate manner. I need to thank you, Lord, for all the rich blessings my family and I have received.
Hey, welcome back to ARP in the morning. I'm your brother Wise, man. I appreciate you guys pulling up this morning. I hope all is well with each and every one of you guys on this fine Tuesday morning. Grace and peace, grace and peace, grace and peace. I hope all is well, man. Appreciate you guys pulling up this morning. We have a really good show today. We got a lot to get into. I'm sure you guys seen the thumbnail, you seen the title. We got to discuss it. We got to talk about it. But before we get started, y'all already know what time it is. I got to show some love to my folks in the chat. And I need you all to hit that like button. If you have hit that like button for me, it's going to tell you a number. Let me know what number you are in the chat. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys. I really appreciate you guys. As you can see, I'm on my Umar Johnson 3 times. I got to repeat it 3 times for you guys. So you make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that like button. I'm just messing with y'all. Oh man. I'm going through something, yesterday, today, tomorrow. I'll talk about it on Thursday. But yeah, I'm going through something. And, it's great. It's a good thing. It's not bad. It's a really good thing. It really is. It really is. But Shout out to everybody that pulled up this morning. I appreciate all my ARP family members, man. Shout out to Eric Plummer supporting the channel via Cash App. Shout out to everybody that supports the channel via Buy Me a Coffee. I thank you guys for buying your brother a coffee, man. I really appreciate you guys supporting what we're doing over here at ARP. And I don't know if you guys know this, but we are adding an additional show starting tomorrow evening, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're gonna have a nice panel show. If there's anybody that would like to join the panel for tomorrow, shoot me an email. I think I have 2 slots open. So if there's anybody that would like to participate, shoot me a message. The show in the evening is gonna be a little lighter than what we do in the morning time. Obviously, we're still, the main thing is gonna be the main thing, right? That's not gonna change, but some of the topics are gonna be a little lighter. Just to lighten it up, just a smidget. But if there is anybody that would be interested in joining the panel tomorrow in the evening, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, let me know. We'll go about 2 hours or so. You know how this works. Sometimes it's 2 hours. It might go a little longer, just depending on how good the conversation is. But we're going to start there. We're going to start with the one show in the evening, and we'll see how it goes. And if it's a success, and maybe we'll look into adding an additional evening show in the very near future. But we're going to start with one a week, and it'll be on Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. I don't have a name for it yet. I'm still working on that. So if anybody got any suggestions, please let me know in the chat or shoot me an email. You guys should have my email address. So first things first, let me show some love to my folks in the chat. What's up, Zephyr K9? Y'all make sure y'all follow her instructions. It says, remember to smash that daggone like button on the way in. Shout out to you. Shout out to my brother Hunter. Appreciate you pulling up. You know, he always kicks the show off with the proper Bible verse to get things kicked off. Today's verse comes from Romans chapter 1, verse 17. And it states, for in the gospel, the righteousness of God is revealed, a righteousness that is by faith from first to last. Just as it is written, the righteous will live by faith. Absolutely. That's why I named this channel what it is. I'm one of those kind of people, I have my pray, don't worry, and I live by that. I put it in God's hands, takes the stress off of me. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, God, you got it. You got it. So it makes things easy when you can do that. It makes things really easy when you can do that. So thank you, man. That was right on time. I like that. That was right on time. Shout out to Lori Ottison. Appreciate you pulling up. You make sure you follow Lori Ottison's instructions as well. Please remember to hit that like button on the way in and enjoy the show today. What's up, Little Rocks? How's it going this morning? Appreciate you pulling up. We got Bella D. Is it Bella Deanne? Hopefully I pronounced that properly. Thank you for pulling up. What's up, Malachi? My brother Malachi out there in Marietta, Georgia. All right, my brother, be safe out there, man. What's up, Marcy Richards? Appreciate you pulling up. Donald Lovejoy in the building. What's up, Miss Katz? How you doing this morning? It's good to see you. We got Hadassah in the building. Shout out to you. Great to see you as well. What's going on? Cameron, is it Peterson? Hopefully I pronounced that properly. Grace and peace to you as well. Appreciate you pulling up this morning. What's up, Scott Jung? What up, LJ? How you doing this morning, sisters? Good to see you. What up, BWR? Appreciate you pulling up. What up, Mark Galvin? Appreciate you pulling up this morning. He said he's out in Western Kentucky by way of Cashville, Tennessee. What's going on, Nola Bo, Mom? Appreciate you pulling up. New Orleans in the house. Shout out to you. What up, Derek Jones? How's it going this morning? Appreciate you pulling up. Shelby Dodd in the building. Shout out to you. What's up, Junior Ray? It's good to see you. What's going on? Appreciate you. What's up, Marla? Grace and peace. What's going on, Omega? Appreciate you pulling up. Now they're going to flip this thing all over again. Come on now. Come on now, YouTube. Yeah, they're doing something in the chat with the names, but I think I still know most of you guys. What's going on? Is May, hopefully, East Tennessee. Okay, East Tennessee in the building. All right. Y'all know I'm from, from those parts, born in those parts. I'm actually at this point now, I almost feel like I'm, home is a multitude of places for me at this point. As you guys can see, I got my Falcons hat on today. Steve, I don't know if you hear, he might not pull up today. Steve Edminster, he was talking trash last week, but he might not pull up today. That was a heck of a ball game last night by the Falcons, man, coming off the bye week. I was very impressed with what I saw. Very impressed. Let's see if Steve pulls up today or if he's going to, put his head in the sand and say, nah, I ain't pulling up today. What's up, Aon? How's it going this morning? Appreciate you pulling up. Appreciate you pulling up. What's up, Chisaxi? Appreciate you pulling up this morning. Dave McCauley, appreciate you pulling up this morning. We got, is that Jamie? Hopefully I pronounced that properly. Appreciate you pulling up this morning. Thank you very much. What up, Sugar Shane? Appreciate you pulling up this morning. What's going on, Nelly? How you doing this morning? Appreciate you pulling up. Who else we got up in here early this morning? Shout out to Kristen Knight. Appreciate you pulling up. Thank you, LJ Taylor, for the 99-cent super sticker. Thank you very much. I appreciate you supporting the channel. Thank you very much. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. What's up, Angela Montgomery? It's good to see you. Hope all is well up there in New Jersey. Appreciate you pulling up this morning. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. All righty. We're going to get the show kicked off, man. If you haven't done so already, hit that like button for me. What's up, B? It's good to see you. Appreciate you pulling up this morning. Appreciate you. Say she's still rubbing the sleep out her eyes. I can dig it. I can dig it. I can dig it, man. Appreciate you guys pulling up this morning, man. I hope all is well with each and every one of you guys. It is Tuesday. Y'all already know what time it is. You're going to blink and it's going to be Friday. Y'all already know. Y'all already know. But enjoy the day, each day. I think every day that we get, on this planet, until the Lord calls us home, it's a blessing, man. And we should be willing to jump out there and try to do something positive on a day-to-day basis, right? I try to tell you guys, all the time, make sure that you're getting in your word on a day-to-day basis. Make sure you're doing that as much as you can. I know, and even for me, I fail. There'll be some days that go by and I'm like, man, I didn't crack my Bible open today. It's not too many days, but it does happen because life gets in the way, but we got to be able to carve out that little bit of time, right? Even if it's 15 or 20 minutes, man. And that's why I appreciate Hunter, always coming through, with the Bible verse. So you at least get, you get a little bit of Bible in you on a day-to-day basis. If you pull up here, you're going to get a little bit in you on a day-to-day basis, right? But I appreciate you guys, man. Thank you guys so much, man, for pulling up this morning. Thank you guys so much for pulling up this morning, man. What's up, Williams? Appreciate you. He said he made it to a live. Y'all make sure y'all show him some love in the chat, man. Thank you very much. Mama says she reads every day. Okay, good. That is really good. I'm about, being honest, I'm probably about 80% of the week. Sometimes life just gets in the way, and I get to going, and before you know it, I look up and was like, goodness gracious. And it bothers me when that happens, but, I do think it's important, man. I do think it's important, a little bit of time, of meditation, a little bit of time of prayer and, a little bit of time of, getting in the word. Seriously, it's important. It's important, but it's also refreshing as well. What's up, Jay? Is it Jay Lynn? Hopefully I got that right. Or Joy Lynn. Sorry about that. Appreciate you pulling up this morning. Y'all make sure y'all show Joy Lynn some love, man. Said this is her first time pulling up to a live stream. That is awesome, man. Thank you very much. Mama said she was in Corinthians. I was just reading 1 Corinthians. I was just reading before we jumped on here. And I got the answer, the foolproof answer to Rolando's question from last week, Thursday. And I'm just like, man, God be working. I'm telling you, he be working. He really does. Because Rolando asked the question on Thursday. I don't know if you guys recall the question, but he was talking about, pastors, who make money through the church and things of that nature. And he doesn't feel like you should be able to make money, spreading the gospel or anything along those lines. And this morning, I ran across it ran across the verse. Goodness gracious. I'm like, where was this at on Thursday? Hey, Rolando, shoot me an email. If you don't have my email, one of the blues will get with you. And you definitely can. Absolutely. But just shoot me an email. I got to put a cap on it. My goal, I'd like to have between 6 and 8 Once it gets past that, man, it gets crazy. And you know, I know you guys are long-winded, and then next thing you know, we'll get one person talk for 30 minutes. Filibuster the entire conversation. Yeah. But Paul speaks on it, right? You know, you go through his epistles, especially in Corinthians, he actually does describe, you know, how someone who spreads the gospel should be compensated. It actually goes and it actually gives some full-throated instructions, you know, but the word of God gives tons of instructions. You know, if you want a blueprint on how to best live your life and live a great life on earth, you know, until the Lord calls you home, get in that word, man. Get in that word. You can't fail. If you follow those instructions, you can't fail. I'm telling you. I am telling you. But I appreciate you guys pulling up, man. We're going to get the show started. Hit that like button. Super chat, super thanks are greatly appreciated. Y'all know we're fighting an uphill battle over here. If you want to support the channel in another manner, you know, join the ARP family. Buy your brother a coffee. Those links are in the description box below. You can get you one of these. Hold up a second. Let me move this out the. You can get you one of those. You know, that link's in the chat as well, or links in the description box as well. Get you some merch. I appreciate everybody that has supported the channel, man. Those Pray Don't Worry t-shirts and the hoodies, man, you guys are snapping those things up, man. Phenomenal. Phenomenal. You know, phenomenal. It's a great conversation starter. And sometimes it's just people look at it and it's just like they probably hadn't even thought about it before. You know, so phenomenal, man. I appreciate you guys supporting the channel, man. I really do. Thank you guys very much. All right. So let's get the show started. Without further ado.
This is not only the end of a war. This is the end of an age of terror and death and the beginning of the age of faith and hope and of God. It's the start of a grand concord and lasting harmony for Israel and all the nations of what will soon be a truly magnificent region. I believe that so strongly. This is the historic dawn of a new Middle East. This is...
Alrighty. We got to get into it, man. So let's get into it real quick. We won't spend a whole lot of time here, but I wanted to have this conversation today because after months, and I mean months, of tension and endless speculation, the hostages are finally coming home. Imagine 2 years of not knowing if your loved one is even alive. And then the phone rings and you hear those words, "I'm safe. I'm coming home." The Israeli Defense Forces confirm Hamas has released all 20 living hostages, with the final 13 seen boarding Red Cross vehicles yesterday. Some even made emotional video calls to their families just before being freed. And as part of the ceasefire, Israel pulled back to agreed upon lines, while medical teams and psychologists stood ready to care for the returnees. I mean, it's rare. It's a deeply human moment, one that transcends politics, in my opinion. And still, make no mistakes, this is a major win for the president. No matter how hard the media tries to spin it, this is a major win for the president. It is. You guys know it. I know it. I think we all know it. And I think we can all agree with that, right?
And of course, endless applause for President Trump. Endless applause for President Trump.
And when I was there, I even saw people wearing "Make America Great Again" hats in that crowd over at Hostage Square.
Yeah, so many questions remain as to whether Hamas will indeed demilitarize, will they give up their weapons? There's a lot of skepticism about that. John Meacham, as we await President Trump, we expect his remarks in the next little bit here, and we'll obviously keep watching the proceedings there in Jerusalem. Just your thoughts. It is a historic day. We don't know if it will be the first chapter of a longer story of peace for the Middle East. The president's trying to frame it that way. We simply don't know. But even just for what today means, give us your thoughts, your perspective.
It's a terrific day for the hostage families. It's a terrific day for President Trump for our national interests. You're right. We don't know how the story ends, but stories are made up of chapters. As Richard Haas knows, he was very much in the arena now 35 years ago at the end of the first Gulf War when there was a great conference in Madrid as we tried to reset the peace process. 9 years later, President Clinton, in the last hours of his presidency, made a noble attempt at Camp David. We can go on and on about the various chapters, but we should make no mistake about this. This is a victory for President Trump and for those who wish that we can govern ourselves at home and around the world, not simply by brute force, but by ideas and civilized norms.
Yeah, so many.
Now, I want to share this video with you guys because this was phenomenal. Now, I got to say, the folks on MSDNC, you know, the viewers of MSDNC, they got to be losing it right now. You know, I'm kind of half joking, but let's be real. You know, this isn't just a win for the president. It's a win for the world. For years, the media painted him as a reckless, clueless, and incapable of diplomacy. Yet here we are. This is the same man that they mocked the same man that they've been mocking for years, just oversaw one of the most remarkable hostage releases in recent memory. I mean, this is something that will be in the history books. The children will be learning about this for years to come. Even his critics can't spin it. They cannot spin this one. A New York Democrat actually called into C-SPAN in tears, praising Trump's role in brokering peace between Israel and Hamas, a self-proclaimed conservative Democrat, oxymoron. But still, a Democrat, nonetheless. You know, I want you guys to hear this. I don't know if you guys had a chance to hear this, but I want you guys to hear this.
Good morning. What'd you think of the speech?
Yes, hi. That was I'm going to get choked up. A momentous speech. And I'm a conservative Democrat living here in New York, where this example of bringing peace to everyone should be thought of in New York City, where out of ignorance, the people are about to elect a guy who's pro-terrorist, pro-Hamas, who's friends with his people in Uganda, a country that lawfully executes people for being gay. And this should be a wake-up call to everyone, that people can live together. I go back. I worked as a young man for Humphrey and for McGovern and became more conservative as I've gotten older. But this was like the best. You know, he does it in his own style. We actually live pretty close to where he grew up. And, you know, New Yorkers like Bernie Sanders are sort of different. They're funny, they're abrasive sometimes, but there should be a lesson to all of us that we can all live together. I think the future, if the Gazans really accept the goodness and the money that's going to come from the Arab community and from the world community, it can be a different world. And I'm sorry for being so emotional, but it's a great moment in history for everyone. And we have to reject hate. We have to reject Antifa. We have to reject Mandami. And we have to come together as human beings. I'm an old guy. Life is short. And we should live it with love. All right, thank you.
That's Philip in New York.
Wow. I gotta admit, man, listening to this the first time, it did kind of choke me up a little bit because, this is a moment for humanity. This is a moment for humanity. Let's just keep it real. To believe that peace is possible and that suffering can come to an end. You don't have to love Israel or hate Hamas to understand what it means for families to finally embrace their loved ones again. Where you have, this father, who I'm for certain had tons of sleepless nights just thinking about their loved one, thinking about his son. Is he okay? Is he still alive? You would think that this would be something that everybody would get behind. But of course, not everyone's celebrating. The usual media voices, they couldn't hide the disdain. They couldn't take one day off to give Trump and his team the credit that they earned. I won't even say that they deserve. I'm talking about just earned. They couldn't take one day. And you wonder why no one's listening to these people anymore. You wonder why.
Again, on that, Katie, in my view, President Trump continues to undermine the very norms and institutions of constitutional governance, despite the fact that in his inaugural oath, he's legally obligated to protect them. At the same time, no American president, probably since Dwight Eisenhower, has been willing to exert this kind of pressure on an Israeli prime minister. It was inherently a pro-Israeli document, and the prime minister saw it and could make changes before, which has been standard operating procedure, the way we've behaved in negotiations in the past. I think if it's going to work, I think Donald Trump is going to have to show an extraordinary degree of focus and determination. And I worry here. He's already identified solving the Israeli-Palestinian conflict as the 8th conflict that he's resolved. And I think this is going to absolutely be critically important in the weeks and months ahead, that he not lose his interest, that he maintain that focus. American leadership, by and large, I would argue, was the determining factor that led to today.
It's easy to criticize from the cheap seats. It really is. It's easy to criticize from the cheap seats. These people they're despicable, to be honest with you. They really are. They couldn't go one day. They couldn't go just one day to celebrate lives being saved, families being reunited. And instead, they twisted into, Trump the Israel stooge, as if brokering peace is some kind of crime, while most of the world is cheering. Others, especially the Free Palestine crowd, are strangely quiet now. Well, Trump just freed Palestine. Yeah, that happened.
No, I will not be celebrating that Donald Trump ended the war in Gaza, because he didn't. If anybody deserves to be recognized and praised for their efforts in ending this conflict, which is still not entirely ended, it is the people of Palestine. The people of Palestine have relentlessly fought for decades for liberation to still not entirely have it. So no, I will not be praising Donald Trump or his administration for ending the war, ending the conflict, getting the ceasefire deal, because it wasn't him. It was not Donald Trump that did this. It was the perseverance and the persistence of the Palestinian people that got us to where we are, that got them to where they are. It is their efforts, their loss, their pain, their struggles that have got them to this point. So no, I will not be acknowledging or giving any type of credit to Donald Trump and his administration because they don't deserve it. The people who deserve credit and love and support are those of Palestine, those who have truly fought for liberation, those who have truly fought for their families, their people, not Donald Trump.
Get not liking the guy, but come on, man. These people are ridiculous, man. Just accept that he ended the war, and it's a good thing. I mean, these guys will do anything but give this man credit. I mean, and this shows that they never truly cared about what was happening in Gaza. This was just another cause that they could use to make themselves feel relevant. And you know what's funny? You know who seems to be giving Trump at least some credit? It's the Palestinians in Gaza themselves. I mean, oh, some of these people are insufferable to say the least. Holy smokes.
I love you. I love you. I love you, Trump. I love you. كل العالم.
Yeah. So the reactions, I mean, they've been all over the place at this point, right? They've been all over the place at this point. But some doubt the peace deal will last, calling it just a pause before more violence. And yeah, there was some additional violence out there. Just from, information that I've been reading about this morning. You had 5 Palestinians that were killed in Gaza City for alleged ceasefire violations. The IDF says Israel on Tuesday also identified 2 of the people whose remains were returned. So in the grand scheme of things, you do have some bad actors out there that are going to do what they do, right? But overall, things should be coming to an end. But you had others out there, who were shouting genocide last week. They're suddenly silent about innocent hostages being finally freed. These are also the people that are very silent about Christians being persecuted throughout the world, especially out there in northern Nigeria and other countries around the world, right? These are the people that, get out there, and protest and burn buildings down and do all this other kind of stuff, in the name of Palestine. But crickets when it comes to the Christians that are being persecuted in different countries around the world. Yeah. And then there's the America First crowd saying, hey, this is a great win, but we can't stop spending billions overseas and start fixing things here at home. It's a fair point. And in that same speech, the president surprised everyone with a shout out to Marco Rubio, calling him the greatest Secretary of State in U.S. history. I don't know if you guys had a chance to see this, but I want to share this with you guys this morning.
And I have a prediction that Marco will go down, I mean this, as the greatest Secretary of State in the history of the United States. I believe that. I believe it. And he and I, we really fought it out. You remember, he was tough. He was nasty. Who the hell thought this was going to happen, Marco, right? And now I'm saying he's going to go down as the greatest. He will. He was always smart and sharp, and people respect him.
Yeah, I think a lot of people may agree with that statement from the president. I think a lot of people may agree with that statement there, that he may go down as, one of the top, Secretary of States in U.S. history. Highly probable. Highly probable. But let's just keep it real. Marco Rubio has been one of the biggest surprises in Trump's cabinet. I don't think a lot of us expected much from him, but he's exceeded every expectation. And to think this is the same person that the president once upon a time called Lil Marco. Trump marked him during debates, right? Politics is wild like that. One day you're rivals, the next day you're allies, right? Hey, it happens like that sometimes. That's politics for you, though. But that's also Trump. Transactional, strategic, results driven. Simple as that. And if you can deliver, he'll work with you. And of course, he couldn't resist a jab at Hillary. Back in 2016, she warned Trump would start wars everywhere. Instead, he's just ended a few in the first 10 months of his presidency. He just ended a few. You know, that's not the record of a warmonger. That's the record of a peace broker. Or as he put it, you know, my personality is about stopping wars, not starting them. Yeah, simple as that.
Say it. But when you settle 8 wars in 8 months, that means you don't like war. Everyone thought I was going to be brutal. In fact, I remember Hillary Clinton during a debate, she said, look at him, he's going to go into war with everybody. And actually, she said, he's got a personality that's all about war. No,
that sounded like projection, right? A lot of the times, what they say that Trump is or what he would do, they're really projecting as to who they are and what they would do, right?
personality actually is all about stopping wars, and it seems to work. Seems to work. But it also means there's name change and our attitude that we're not going to go into a war, but if we do, we're going to win that war like nobody has ever won a war before. We will not be politically correct, but we're not going to be there. And I think, you know, as you mentioned,
it's funny how history flips the script, right? Don't y'all find it funny how history flips the script? The establishment painted Trump, you know, as a reckless cowboy, yet he's the one pushing diplomacy and peace. But I also appreciate the fact that he put it out there and was like, hey, we don't want to go to war, but if we have to, hey, we're not going to play games with folks. We're not going to have this, you know, all these rules of engagements that basically hamstring our soldiers. We're not going to do that. If we do got to get into a conflict, we're going to handle business. And I can appreciate that as a former service member. I can appreciate that. But this is a man that has showcased himself as someone that's willing to push diplomacy and push for peace. And every time the media tries to destroy him, it just backfires. You can only cancel someone for so long before it just blows up in your face. And let's be honest, the modern Democrat Party isn't the party of JFK anymore. These people are angry. Excuse me. They're divisive. I would say that they're racist. and honestly, they're driven by emotion over logic. A lot of these Democrats, unfortunately, man, they are an angry, divisive group of people. They're an angry, divisive group of people. And most of them, logic has long left them. It's all about emotions, right? They're literally feelings over facts. Have you ever tried to have a conversation, you know, with these folks and they like, there you go with those facts again. There you go. Why are you always bringing up the data? It's just like, how else would you have a debate? How else would you have, you know, any type of conversation if you can't base your argument on true facts, on true data, true statistics? They just want to talk about their feelings. I feel. And we are a lot more logical in the way we look at things. And we just say, hey, look at the data. The data says this. Simple as that. There's really nothing else to argue over. That's not them, though. They are a feelings over facts group of people. And while they scream and protest at this administration continues to deliver. They continue to deliver peace abroad and security at home. But let's not lose sight at what really matters, which is the hostages here. 20 innocent people are finally free. That's a W. That's a W. As James Winston, I wish I had that meme. That's a W. Forget the politics, forget the spin. That's what you would call just humanity. And the president's closing message was powerful. A Middle East linked by cooperation, trade, and stability, not war. From Tel Aviv to Dubai, from Jerusalem to Damascus, even India to Pakistan. As CNN Scott Jennings put it, this isn't just a win for the president, it's a win for America. I want you guys to take a listen to Scott.
It's a win for the United States of America. This is what it looks like when you have an engaged, strong American president willing to get involved on the world stage. The president of the United States of America, when he acts like this, when he engages in tough situations, when he puts American prestige in the middle of a situation, we can make things happen. It just takes a strong leader, honestly, to get it done. And so I like it that Democrats are supporting the president on this. Of course, Republicans think President Trump has done a magnificent job. But what that tells me is that this is transcending politics. This whole issue, has been on our minds for 2 years. And I think all Americans, whether you support Trump or you oppose him, or whether you support Netanyahu or you oppose him, or wherever you are on the spectrum, you want it to end. You want peace. You want the hostages to come home. And so for the American president on the world stage to be the singular figure brokering this deal, it makes me feel great as an American. And of course, I'm glad as a Trump supporter that he's getting the credit that he deserves.
Hey, you don't have to like the Trump administration. You don't. You don't have to like the Trump administration to admit this took focus and willpower. And that's the difference. Weakness invites chaos. Strength creates peace. I don't think people really understand that. When you showcase weakness, chaos will show itself. But strength creates peace. For years, the globalist class and their media allies warned America first would spark disaster. But instead, they're watching a masterclass in resolve. And that's what real will looks like. Staying focused despite the noise, the attacks, and the nonstop media spin. I mean, this man has been hit from every direction. Democrats, the press, global elites, you name it. And still continues to deliver results. Now, I got to say this. You don't have to like his style. You don't. But you should be able to respect the substance. And of course, right on cue, the Biden-Obama crowd, trying to take credit, you got Antony Blinken even claimed that, a peace deal was based on a plan developed by the Biden administration. You can't make this stuff up. You can't make this stuff up. They got to find a way to put themselves and make themselves, I'm saying, like they actually did something. I don't know if you guys saw this tweet. Let me make it bigger so you guys can see it. Yeah. Tell us you're a sore loser without telling us you're a sore loser. Because we all remember how their plans turned out. Afghanistan, do you guys recall that? Do y'all guys recall what happened in Afghanistan? I mean, that was an epic disaster of epic proportions. And now Trump's response on Air Force One, it was priceless. And he said, everybody knows that's a joke. It never would have happened under the Biden and Obama. And honestly, he's absolutely right. He's absolutely right. I don't even understand why we pay these people any attention, to be honest with you.
In places that you don't want to know about. Deep.
Some of the top Biden administration folks who were there, like Antony Blinken, seem to want some credit for the peace deal. Blinken says it's good that President Trump adopted and built on the plan that the Biden administration developed. What do you think about that?
Everybody knows it's a joke. Look, they did such a bad job. This should have never happened. This wouldn't have even happened. That was weak leadership, terrible. And the same thing with Russia, Ukraine. If just a decent president, not a great president like me, not a great president. If a decent president was in, you wouldn't have had the Russia-Ukraine. And this is, I would say, even more so. This was bad policy by Biden and by Obama. Remember when Bibi came and he begged that you not do what they were doing with Iran? You remember that, right? Begged them. And they wouldn't even listen to him. Everything they did was the opposite of what you should have done. And it's nice that they try and take a little credit. That was years ago, and the mistakes were made years ago, and it was both by Biden and Obama.
And so what did you do so differently? Because I know a lot of it was behind the scenes. So what did you do so much differently than Joe Biden and to end the war?
I resonated with the Arab leaders, the Muslim leaders, and the Jewish leaders. For whatever reason, you tell me why. You know, he said that in my first news conference, I answered more questions of him than Biden did in 4 years. And I think that's pretty close to being true.
Now, there were no Pinocchios in the fact check.
None. That's right. That's right.
I think he's kind of right. You know, none of this chaos would have happened under strong leadership. You know, weak leadership breeds chaos. It does. Strong leadership restores order. And you can debate tone, but you can't debate the results. And that's why so many former moderates, even Democrats, are saying enough is enough. They're tired of politicians who lecture instead of lead, and of elites who call patriots suckers and losers while failing our troops through sheer incompetence. So while not everyone's celebrating this peace deal, the truth is clear. It's a major step forward in the Middle East, and it's a major step forward towards Middle East stability, no matter how the left tries to spin it. I want to take a quick break right here. I'm not going anywhere, but I want to let you guys know that today's show is brought to you by our sponsor, Chapter. Medicare annual enrollment is here October 15th through December 7th. It's right around the corner. Obviously, October 15th tomorrow. And you already know what that means. The flood of mailers, the nonstop robocalls, everyone promising the best plan. But here's the truth. Medicare plans change every year. Some disappear entirely. If you don't review your coverage, you could lose your doctor or end up paying way more than you should. And that's where Chapter comes in. They're the only company that reviews every Medicare plan nationwide, making sure that you're on the one that truly fits you. On average, Chapter saves people $1,100 a year. And the best part, it's fast and it's free. A quick 20-minute review, no pressure, no upselling. And if you're already on the right plan, they'll tell you that you're on the right plan. Stick with it. And if not, they'll help you get switched. Simple as that. So don't wait until the deadline sneaks up on you. Reach out to Chapter today, 504-506-0860. That's 504-506-0860. Protect your health, protect your wallet, and get the peace of mind you deserve. Go reach out to Chapter. Thank you, Chapter, for supporting the channel and supporting this show this morning. We're going to keep things going, man. Remember to hit the like button. And I got a couple super chats I want to read real fast. Shout out to my guy Hunter over with I'm a Hunter. $10 super chat says, I seen people on Blue Sky sit there and downplay Trump's victory, saying this was Biden's idea originally, like they couldn't just let Trump have a single win. Yeah, you know that's what they're going to do. Shout out to Mama Sunflower Cottage Little House on the Dale with the $2 super chat says Proverbs chapter 8, verse 15 and 16. Thank you very much for the $2 super chat. Excuse me. Thank you, Wendy, for the $5 super chat. Says the best thing about the left is that they're making all my memes come true. Shaking my head. Shout out to Deb Longo with the $10 super chat. ARP family, simply the best. Thank you to the Lord for giving us the ability to make game-changing policies through our honorable president for peace, for removing leftist radicals. Let's keep going. Thank you, Deb. And shout out to Wendy joining the ARP family. Thank you very much. I appreciate you supporting what we're doing over here at ARP. Now, let's keep the show going. I want to bring it back to something a little closer to home. I'm sure you guys seen the thumbnail, seen the title. We're going to go down that road real fast with a story that isn't getting the national attention I think it deserves, but it should. And we're going to get into it. Remember to hit that like button for me if you have not done so already. All right, let's keep going.
Shootings after two high school football games in Mississippi. At least 4 people were killed and several others injured at a game in Leland, Mississippi. And then on the other side of the state, at least 2 people were killed and shot on school grounds in Heidelberg. Olivia Rubin, our investigative reporter, is joining us now. You are following both stories. So what is the latest with this?
Perry, just 2 horrible incidents, both, as you said, relating to a high school football game. That first actually happened at what officials are saying was a gathering after the school's homecoming game. Perry, 20 people shot during that incident, 4 killed, 4 airlifted in emergency critical condition. That's the state of play there. And then you go, as you said, to the other side of the state. And this is an act of violence that actually occurred on school grounds related to a football game. Authorities saying that 1 victim was found, Perry, on the high school's baseball team, on the baseball field. The other one near the tailgating area. That first incident, officials saying there is no one in custody so far. For the second incident, officials saying they do now have someone in custody that they are questioning, Perry. That individual, just 18 years old.
Incredibly sad. Olivia, thank you for that report.
This is horrific, man. And again, I got to ask the question, where the heck is CNN? Where's MSDNC? Seriously, nowhere to be found. And you have to ask yourself, why? Why do some tragedies get wall-to-wall coverage while others vanish or they act like they don't exist? The truth is, mass shootings that don't fit the media's preferred narrative happen far more often than people realize. And when I say the media, I'm talking about your mainstream media, especially in small towns and majority Black communities. The press, they just simply ignore it. This one followed a high school homecoming game, a night meant for pride or school pride and family, but it ended with 4 people dead, the youngest just 18 years old. And it wasn't isolated. That same weekend, 2 more Mississippi towns, Heidelberg and Rolling Fork, saw shootings at community football events, leaving more dead, including a pregnant woman. 3 shootings, 1 weekend, 1 state, all tied to community gatherings. And now 18-year-old Tyler Gerard Goodlow is in custody for the Leland attack. I want you guys to see this here. Let me see if I can pull this up for you. This is just sad, man. This situation here, man, it's just so unfortunate, man. It really is. So unfortunate. So unfortunate. Local leaders in Leland are pleading for answers right now. They're pleading for answers right now. The mayor said this isn't the time for silence. People who know something need to step up and speak up. This no snitching policy, it's got to go away, man. It's got to go away. He's absolutely right, man. But why aren't national outlets echoing that call? Why isn't this story getting the same energy as others that dominate primetime? Maybe because it forces an uncomfortable truth. Much of this violence does happen within Black communities. And that doesn't fit the media's narrative because systemic racism or white supremacy. Whenever someone points that out, they're labeled as racist, or if you look like me, you're a sellout, bootleg, Sambo, coon, whatever the case may be, because we call out the nonsense. Yet outrage only seems to come when the shooter isn't Black. When tragedy strikes from within, it's quickly forgotten or not even discussed at all. Funerals end, cameras leave, and nothing changes. And this isn't said with judgment, but it's said with heartbreak. I'm tired of it. I'm sick and tired of it. I'm sick and tired of, this quote unquote, oh, we're not snitching and we're not telling while the communities are in shambles. There was a young lady yesterday in the video I put out yesterday out in Memphis, and she was talking about the crimes that were literally happening on her street, right across the street, in the street behind her. No one cares. They're upset that the president is sending additional resources to communities that need the help. And there are a lot of good people that live in these communities, but they're being held hostage and no one cares. And again, I say that this isn't for me to say this with judgment, but it's heartbreak. I'm tired of seeing it. In 2025, families should be able to enjoy a football game without fear of gunfire. Children should be able to go outside and play, ride their bikes, and the parents should be able to allow them to do it without fear, of strange or stray bullets. But we've normalized violence so deeply that it barely registers nationally anymore. And what makes it worse is the silence from the so-called social justice activists. These folks had all the smoke for Charlie Kirk, but crickets in a situation where Black people were being killed. Crickets. But you can go out there and protest and march about Charlie Kirk that didn't harm one Black person. Because y'all upset with something that he said. But we actually have people in these communities doing real damage, taking real lives, crickets from these people. Where is BLM at? Where is the NAACP at? Where is the Urban League at? Where are the hashtags, the protests, and the marches? They're nowhere to be found right now. Because there's no political payoff. There's no way to cut a check. There's no way to point the finger and say white folks bad. There's no money in it. That's why when I see these folks, they get the side eye. They only show up when a Black life is taken by a white person. Other than that, doesn't fit the narrative. There's no money to be made here. Not when Black lives are taken by other Black people. I mean, it's the same hypocrisy that we saw in the Trey Reed case. A young Black student found hanging in a tree out in Mississippi. Activists rushed to call it a lynching. Even after Black officials confirmed the man harmed himself, took his own life. They're ready to march and burn it down. We just had 18 people shot over the weekend, 4 young people dead. Crickets, nothing. In the same state, crickets, nothing. The facts didn't matter to these people in reference to Trey. And God rest his soul. And my condolences and my thoughts to his family. But in his situation, the outrage, it fit, quote unquote, their narrative. But in this situation, crickets, nothing. It's sickening, man. Seriously. Sickening.
And thank you for joining us. I'm Stephanie Skurlock.
And I'm Greg Hirsch. The Cleveland, Mississippi Police Department says the autopsy confirms that sadly 21-year-old Trey Reed died by suicide. Reed's body was found early Monday morning hanging from a tree on the Delta State campus. Cleveland police say the case remains an active investigation and they're still waiting on the final toxicology report, which could take 2 to 4 weeks to complete. In the meantime, investigators have turned over all case files to the FBI and the U.S. Attorney's Office for review. Our Mike Sirianni was in Reed's hometown of Grenada, Mississippi today, and he'll have more on this story tonight on News Channel 3 at 6.
Yeah. Didn't stop a mob, from turning it into a race narrative, though. Even with the information coming out, it didn't stop it. And just miles away, same state, not too far away, Multiple black victims are dead in their own community, and the same people that are out here online, all of these folks, silent. Silent. Now, if the shooters were white, if they would have came in there and a gang of white folks shot up the homecoming, this would dominate the news cycle for 2 weeks. They'd call it a hate crime, a white supremacist attack. And every politician in DC would be tweeting about it. But because it's quote unquote black on black violence, you get nothing out of these people. And in my opinion, it's wrong. Because these folks, their lives matter too. These families deserve the same outrage, the same empathy, and the same national conversation about ending the violence. And it's not just Mississippi. In Beaufort County, South Carolina, 4 people were killed and 20 injured when gunfire erupted at Willie's Bar and Grill during an alumni party. Witnesses described the chaos, hundreds running, bodies on the ground, CPR in the middle of the parking lot. Crickets from mainstream media. It's sickening, man. It really is. Thought I had this queued up already. Give me a second. Who said that black folks don't lynch themselves? Have you not seen the oh man, what is his name? I think his name is Khaled Thomas story. That's how he took his life. They did a documentary on it. You should check it out. It's worth checking out.
That's right. I've been here on St. Helena Island all day long, and I have spoken to countless people. And one of the main things that I have been hearing all day is that this is a tragedy, and things like this never happen. It's a very tight-knit community where everyone knows everyone. But I have also been hearing that we are not going to let this tragedy tear us apart. We're not going to let this come and just shake our small and tight-knit community. Now, this tragedy, we told you about it. We know that 4 people were killed, and we know that 20 people were injured at in a mass shooting during an alumni event. The victims ranges in age from 22 to 54. Right now, a memorial stands in front of Willie's Bar and Grill, honoring who lost their lives. I recently spoke to Maria Pickney. She says her daughter, who is a mother of 2, remains in a hospital after being shot. When we spoke to her earlier, she says that when she learned the news that her daughter was hurt, she couldn't believe it.
And my daughter, she was hit underneath her chin, and the bullet went like out the side of her neck. When I received the call, I was devastated because I just couldn't believe that, all of this was happening in such a small part of our town.
I mean, this is devastating. An alumni event in a fairly small town out in South Carolina. People just, out celebrating, and it turns into a war zone. Yet again, no headlines, no coverage, nothing. Crickets, silence, because it doesn't fit the narrative. multiple mass shootings, all tied to Black community events, all in one weekend, and not a single word from BLM or anyone from the activist class for that matter. No justice calls, no marches, no, hey, let's pray for the families. Let's work towards, stopping the violence. Seriously. There was a song that came out, I want to say it was either the late 80s or early 90s called Self-Destruction. I don't know if you guys recall that. I'm sure we got some old heads in here that remember that song, Self-Destruction. And then that was the East Coast song. And then on the West Coast, they had the song called, I think it's called We're All in the Same Game. I don't know if you guys recall that. That was a time when, you had folks out there saying, hey, we're headed for self-destruction if we keep acting this way. We're all in the same game. There were some positive songs back in the day that was telling folks, hey, we got to stop this. Where is it at right now? Self-destruction, it was jamming, but the message was there. The message was positive. We get none of that right now. We get none of that right now. None of it. But folks are quick to, well, but what about white people? But what about white people? I'm sure there are some people watching this right now that's like, but what about white people? At what point do we say enough is enough? Seriously. At what point? At what point do we say enough is enough? Ignoring this isn't going to help anyone. Families are losing children, communities are being traumatized, and cities are scarred physically and emotionally. The yellow tape and the flowers left behind are constant reminders of what happens when this cycle continues unchecked. We got to do better, man. And it starts with honesty, not selective outrage, not convenient silence. I mean, these are real lives, and they deserve more than to be ignored. It upsets me, man. I'm sorry for going on a rant. Shout out to my guy Jeff with the $11 super chat. No political hate to be made. Let us be the ones who right now lower our heads in prayer for these victims and the culprits' change of heart. Absolutely. Thank you, Jeff. You're just hearing about this stuff, man. It upsets me, man. It really does. Because we'll get a lot of folks to say, oh, man, y'all don't care about Black people. You don't care about this. Y'all don't care about that. Man, it's not true. It's definitely not true. I was talking to my cousin the other day, and we had a really good conversation, and we talked about a multitude of things. And, it ultimately it comes right back to self-accountability. I think too many folks are concerned with other people out there, opposed to focusing on your own home. That's like you being concerned with what's going on in your neighbor's house when your house is dirty and you got issues, but you really concerned with what's going on in someone else's home. Seriously. I want to keep it moving though. And last but not least, before I do that, let me read this $5 super chat from LJ Taylor. Thank you very much, sister. And you got to get out the gang. You got to get out the gang. Who was that? What's the name? Said you showing your age by talking about self-destruction and we all in the same game. Hey, y'all see this gray? You know, y'all see this gray? This ain't premature. Oh, but last but not least, man, I want to talk about this story. I don't know if you guys, have heard, about it, but while there's a lot of unnecessary bloodshed in our communities, right? And honestly, throughout a lot of communities across the country, let's just be honest, there are still good people out there. I want to introduce you guys to a young lady by the name of Barbara Baker. She's a bus driver who's receiving praise for springing into action after she spotted a young child wandering alone and barefoot in the middle of a busy street in Florida. I don't know if you guys had a chance to see this, but you all have to see this story. Phenomenal. Let me pull this up for you all.
Look at the baby walking in the street by himself. Oh my God. Look at the baby out there by himself. Y'all give me 1 second, please. Give me 1 second. Let me call in, okay? Okay. Oh my God, Jesus. Mama? 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 Yeah. Oh. I know you're so loved. Oh my God, this is not good.
You see that? You see that? What an incredible young lady. Barbara Baker, a bus driver and grandmother. Hold up. Yeah. God is awesome. He absolutely is. This is a grandmother with Hillsborough area regional transit spotted a toddler barefoot in pajamas wandering alone on a busy Tampa street at 7 o'clock in the morning. Cars speeding by, but she slammed on the brake, scooped him up and held him close while calling for help. And within 20 minutes, police found the boy's mother just 2 blocks away. In an interview, Baker said her heart sank when she saw him. She said, "Oh my God, look at the baby out there by himself." A simple act of compassion that turned an ordinary morning into a life-saving situation. Full disclosure, when I was young, I did the same exact thing. When I was young, my pops left the door open and I went outside by myself. The difference was it wasn't during the middle of the day. It was at night. My grandma was just talking to me about that story. And I was out walking down the sidewalk at night by myself. I couldn't have been more than maybe 3 or 4 years old. That was me. I did that. Walked right out. They left the doors. But this is also a time when people would leave their doors unlocked. And I was able to open the door and walk outside. And I did that. And the police picked me up and took me to the police office. Fortunately, I was old enough. I knew my name. And, they asked me some questions. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. I did that. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So when I saw this, I was like, man, I did that. He did it in the middle of the day. I did it at night. Goodness gracious. That's why I say all the time, man, I thank God every day, man, for keeping me when I wasn't keeping myself, when I didn't even know how to keep myself, to be honest with you. But in this situation here, man, when the police arrived, man, she nearly cried, thinking of her own grandbabies because a car had driven by ignoring the little boy on the road. But Barbara Baker didn't. She stopped her bus, scooped him up, and made sure he got home safely. Hearts, the CEO, called her the heart of their team, and she earned it. In a world that often feels chaotic, crazy, disillusioned, Barbara reminds us that good people do still exist and they do the right thing quietly, without cameras or applause. She could have kept driving, but instead she acted, and that's character. Now, this young lady, she's been driving this bus since 2005, trained to spot lost kids or signs of danger. But this wasn't just training. It was compassion. Knowing the baby is home, that's a big thing for me, she said. And that's what real heart looks like, stepping in when others look away. And when you think about it, tragedies like those in Mississippi, the shootings out there, her story shows the other side of humanity. People who build instead of destroy. If more of us looked out for each other like Barbara did, maybe we see fewer headlines about hate and more about hope. Change starts small. Talk to your kids, support your community, and be the one who stops to help. Barbara Baker proved goodness still wins. One act of courage at a time. Goodness gracious. How many of you guys could see a little kid walking down the middle of the street by themselves with their pajamas on, no shoes on, and y'all just gonna ride by? How many of y'all just gonna ride by? How many of you guys are gonna stop, get out, and ask the kid, where your mama at? And go help? We have so many selfish people out here, man, that the sad part about it is I'm sure there was a multitude of cars that drove by this little kid. I'm sure of it. I see something like that, man, we definitely stop it. Absolutely, man. Thank you guys very much for pulling up this morning, man. Thank you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the show today. My apologies for going off on a little rant, but it upsets me, man. It really does. It upsets me when I see things, like what happened over this weekend out there in South Carolina, because a lot of this stuff is just unnecessary, man. It's unnecessary, and people act like it doesn't happen, or they don't want to talk about it. They don't want to have conversations about it. But how do we solve these problems if we're not willing to talk about it? If we're not even willing to address or to say that it even exists, how do we solve it? How do we stop the madness? Seriously. I'm trying to do better, at adding some content in there and adding some stories that will uplift, because I feel like we live in this doom and gloom, where only the worst of the worst get showcased, and I want to showcase some positivity, because there are some good things going on out here. There are some good people out here. There's a lot of good people out here. The one beautiful thing I will say about Miss Barbara is the fact that she didn't pull her phone out. Some folks they immediately, hey, look at what I did. They pull their phone out, man. People are very prideful in this day and age. Very prideful. Dove said, I come here for the rants. Oh my goodness, y'all a mess. But But yeah, so I'm trying to do a little better job of just not always looking for the worst of the worst. You know, I want to uplift. But I do think that, you know, we all should be striving to be the change that we want to see in the world, right? We should be striving to be the change that we want to see. I think too many people are looking for other people to make that first move. You make that move. You do it. You feed that person. You stop, help that kid. You do it. We have entirely too many people waiting on someone else to do something. Nah, you do it. Thank you very much, Mark, for the $5 super sticker, man. Appreciate you. Thank you very much for supporting the channel this morning. I appreciate that. Hey, Aeon, I'm with you on that one. I sure hope so as well. Sheesh, I don't know what the heck is going on. But thank you guys for pulling up this morning, man. I hope you guys enjoyed today's show. It is Tuesday. Make it a great Tuesday. Lord willing, we will be back at this thing tomorrow morning, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Lord willing, we'll be back at it. As always, man, you guys stay blessed, man. Stay safe, man. Keep God first. Stay prayed up. We'll catch up with you all next time. You guys take care, man. God bless. Peace.
We won't stop. I won't quit. Stand for the truth. No counterfeit. Real ones rise. Let the fake ones split. Repent for the lies. Let the darkness live.